In this video, we're going to go over some basics of algebra. I know for many of you, it's been a long time since we've talked about algebra, so we want to take a few minutes to make sure that everybody's good on our algebra skills, because that's an important skill for success in chemistry. So here are two problems really typical of what you'd see in an intro chem type class or a general chem type class, and let's take a few minutes and go through them and make sure everybody understands the basics of algebra. So in this first problem, we have 4.73x equals 21.2. So the goal here is to get x by itself, right? So we can solve for x. That's how you would solve for x, is to get it by itself. So right here, 4.73 is being multiplied by x. So what's the opposite of multiplication? The opposite of multiplication is division, right? So if I divide 4.73x by 4.73, well, this over this cancels. But whatever I do to this side, I have to do to this side as well. So 4.73 divided by 4.73, that goes away. So x equals 21.2 divided by 4.73. So in my calculator, I would say 21.2 divided by 4.73. And I get 4.4820. Now there's a separate video series on significant figures and how many decimal places we can keep. We've got three significant figures. So my answer is going to be rounded to 4.48. Again, there's a whole separate video series on how to round your final answer, and that's really not the purpose of this video. This purpose is really just to show how to do the algebra. Okay, so if I've got 4.73x equals 21.2, the opposite of multiplying is dividing, so that's why I divided both sides. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So in my calculator, I said 21.2 divided by 4.73, and there's my final answer, which is 4.48. All right, here's another problem. We've got x divided by 9.1 equals 5.3. So over here, x was being multiplied by some number. And here, x is being divided by some number. So now I have to ask myself, okay, what's the opposite of division? The opposite of division is multiplication, right? So I'm going to give myself some more room here. If I multiply both sides by 9.1, right, that little dot just means multiplied by. If you don't like it, you can put times. 9.1 times x divided by 9.1, right, that cancels that out. Because remember, the goal is to get x by itself. So x equals 5.3 times 9.1. So in my calculator, I would say 5.3 times 9.1. I've got two numbers here, or two significant figures here, two significant figures here, so my answer is going to have two significant figures as well. Again, there's a whole video series on how to figure out number of significant figures, which really isn't the goal of this video. The goal of this video is just solving for x. How do I solve for x? If it's been a while since this is something you've done, it's good to take a few minutes to refresh. Now, the nice thing about these kinds of problems is if you ever want to check your work, you can always plug your answer back in. So over here, we got 4.73x equals 21.2. So let's plug x back in. If I plug x back in, 4.73 times 4.48, I get my number, 21.2. I get 21.1904, which would round to 21.2. So you can always check your work by plugging it back in. 21.2 does equal 21.2, so I know I did it right. I can check my work here. If I plug 48 in back as x, so 48 divided by 9.1, I get 5.27, which would round to 5.3. 5.3 equals 5.3, so I know I did it right. So if you're ever in doubt, You can always take the number that you got for x, plug it back in, and make sure that it equals the number that you were originally solving against in the first place. If solving basic algebra problems is something that you find difficult, on the course website I have some files. It's called Basics of Algebra that are there specifically for this purpose of refreshing our memory on algebra basics and how to solve for x and how to solve for variables and all that good stuff. So I hope that this helps you in your preparation for chemistry. And if you ever have any questions, please feel free to contact me. Thanks.